Lily stepped off the rattling subway car just as the digital clock over the platform flipped to midnight. She was somewhere downtown, she wasn't even sure where at this point, and the station was nearly deserted. The flickering fluorescence cast everything in a bluish hue. She had lost track of her transfer line and ended up here by accident. Another late night, another commute spent nursing her tired feet and searching for a seat among strangers. In her rush to get home, she thought she could shave 15 minutes off her commute by switching trains earlier than usual. Now she was basically alone except for an elderly janitor tapping his mop in the distance. The place gave her an odd feeling. The tracks stretched ahead into darkness, and the city's standard route signs had peeled away, their corners curled like old parchment. Lily glanced around for any sign of an exit or a map, but found none. The janitor didn't seem to notice as she walked toward the far wall. An old metal gate blocked a corridor labelled with a battered sign that read "Closed, authorised personnel only." She couldn't recall a time she'd seen a gate in a subway station that looked so old and so out of place, like it belonged in a historical exhibit rather than a modern transit system. Despite her trepidation, curiosity got the better of her. She ran a finger over the dusty metal and, to her surprise, realized the lock wasn't nearly as secure as it looked. She glanced back to see if the janitor was paying attention, but he was gone. There was nobody else on the platform. Her heart started pounding. A sense of nervous thrill mixed with the quiet dread of wandering into a place she didn't belong. She had always considered herself adventurous, or at least that was the version of herself she had tried to be ever since moving to this city. A new start, a new job, a new apartment. Why not explore? She rattled the gate gently and one of the loose hinges gave way. Then, with a final pull, the rusted padlock popped open. She slipped inside and found herself in a darkened passageway, the tunnel continuing beyond the glow from the station. The corridor smelled of stale air and damp concrete. It was wrapped in shadows, and the only light came from the sporadic flicker of overhead bulbs, as though they were powered by a failing generator. She could hear the hum of the active subway platform receding behind her, replaced by echoes of her own footsteps. The path sloped downward, a slow, steady descent beneath the main station. Every so often, an electric sconce buzzed with faint energy, revealing old posters peeling off the wall. At last, Lily came upon a second barrier, this time a heavy steel door that looked sealed shut. She turned the handle, expecting it to resist, but instead it swung open with a loud groan. She peered inside and couldn't quite believe what she saw. Beyond the threshold was more than just a deserted area. It was an entire mid-level platform, caked in dust, with tracks that looked like they hadn't been used in decades. She paced forward, scanning the wide expanse. There were tattered remnants of benches, old vending machines with coin slots, and a sense that no living soul had been here for years. And yet, her eyes landed on something flickering at the edge of vision-like still air that was somehow shimmering. Confused, she walked closer. Floating shapes shimmered into view. Some were translucently human, others almost entirely shapeless. Billy watched, transfixed, as these ghostly beings flitted about, carrying what looked like wisps of light or intangible orbs. It was as if she'd stumbled into a secret world that existed side by side with her own, just below the surface. Her heart hammered in her chest, but a part of her mind insisted she couldn't possibly be seeing what she was seeing. Was it a dream? A trick of light and exhaustion? She was about to turn back when an apparition took form before her. It was a tall, gaunt figure wearing a faded pinstriped suit, his features pale and aged, eyes sunken yet strangely alert. He smiled politely, revealing a flash of translucent teeth. "Welcome, mortal," he said, voice echoing in a hollow undertone. "You're here early?" Lily blinked, at a loss for words. Finally, she managed, I'm sorry, I didn't know this place was... I should go." "Wait," the spirit said gently, reaching out an insubstantial hand. "You've stumbled upon our weekly market. You might find it enlightening." Lily glanced around at the ghostly crowd forming around them. The entire platform was coming alive, or perhaps, after alive, was more accurate. She noticed stands of intangible goods, shimmering stalls where an assortment of spectral items were on display, glinting memory shards, swirling regret clouds, bottled laughter. The ghosts gossiped, bartered, and exchanged these items with an air of normalcy, as though partaking in a typical suburban farmer's market. Unsure of what to do, Lily took a tentative step forward. A few spectres looked at her with surprise, some with open curiosity. She could feel the tension in the air, as if her presence was unusual but not entirely unwelcome. The pinstriped spectre beckoned her toward an empty stall. "Named Walter," he said. "I work with intangible valuables, dreams, hopes, ephemeral wishes. Few living people find their way down here. Fewer still get to leave with their sanity intact." His voice was casual, but Lily sensed an underlying seriousness. "If you wish to stay, keep your wits about you. Some ghosts love a new bargaining chip, and a mortal soul is quite the prize." Lily swallowed hard. She realized running away would be the most rational move, but her sense of curiosity had taken hold. She studied the stands now being set up under spectral lanterns that hovered in the musty air. One stand offered swirling storm clouds that seemed to contain raw emotion, anger, sorrow, joy. Another stand featured bottled nightmares, their lids corked to keep the nightmares from leaking. She saw phantasms holding up intangible goods like old regrets or half-forgotten secrets, exchanging them as though they were exotic spices. "Is it safe?" she whispered to Walter. "Trading these things?" Walter gave her a grin. "Safe is a relative term. The intangible market died with the station and was revived in the afterlife. Think of it like any underground market. Some deals are benign, some are risky, all are interesting." He made a sweeping gesture, indicating the stalls. "We trade intangible goods because that's all we have left. Emotions, memories, the faint echoes of life. Some of us find comfort, others find ways to pass the time, and a few seek power." He paused, studying Lily. "A mortal's intangible goods, though, that's rare. So keep yourself guarded." She wandered deeper into the space. Ghostly vendors called out their wares. "Forgotten childhood laughter. Bottled wonder," cried one. "Genuine unrequited love. I'll trade for a happy memory," called another. There were also stands that specialized in intangible services. One stall had an old skeleton wearing a top hat, offering illusions in exchange for regrets. Another seemed to be manned by a woman wearing a tattered wedding dress, hawking wishes for better tomorrows if you traded your worst nightmares. Everywhere Lily turned, she saw glimpses of sorrow, joy, heartbreak, and hope, floating in ethereal forms or swirling in small jars. A faint, melodic tune reached her ears, causing her to follow the sound. She came upon a stall set apart from the others, its vendor a ghostly woman with flowing hair and eyes that glowed with a gentle light. She was humming a lullaby while cradling a glass orb that flickered like a candle in the wind. The sign read, "Songs of Solace and Pain." Intrigued, Lily stepped closer. "Welcome, dear," the woman said, voice tinged with an otherworldly echo. "You appear quite lost. Or perhaps found?" Lily smiled shyly, unsure how to respond. She asked, "What do you trade?" The woman lifted the orb, revealing shifting lights within it. "I collect heartbreaks and regrets, preserve them into a lullaby, then trade them for new songs of hope or forgiveness." "Do you have anything to trade, dear mortal?" Lily hesitated. She had regrets, sure, but was she ready to part with them? Or was that even a good idea? "What happens after the trade?" she asked, carefully. The ghostly woman smiled. "You'd lose that particular regret, that heartbreak. You'd feel a sense of relief, possibly. In return, you'd gain a new piece of hope, or forgiveness. Something intangible that lifts your spirit." Lily found the idea tempting. She had been weighed down by the memory of leaving her previous hometown under rough circumstances. Fear of failure had driven her away from old friends, old ties. The idea of parting with that regret was alluring, yet Lily sensed a cost. one that might not be visible at first. So she shook her head gently. "Not today," she said. The vendor nodded as if she understood. "Then take my lullaby as a gift, no trade. Consider your regrets carefully, mortal. Everything has a price." She pressed the glowing orb into Lily's hands. Lily felt a gentle warmth, and the orb dissolved like mist, leaving a comforting sensation in her chest. "This one's on the house," the spirit said, turning to greet another customer, while Lily stood, disoriented, yet oddly comforted. A dull thud echoed from across the platform. A rickety cargo elevator was lowering something large and heavy. The hush that fell over the crowd was immediate. Ghostly figures stopped their bartering. Some drifted backward in a show of caution, while others leaned forward in curiosity. Lily turned to see what was happening and noticed a figure step off the lift. This spirit was different. Dressed in a dark overcoat and wearing a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed most of his features, he exuded a palpable chill. Even from yards away, Lily felt a prickling unease. Walter glided over to stand by Lily's side, leaning in to whisper, "Be wary. That's the collector. He trades in finalities, memories no one should part with, secrets too dangerous to reveal. He has a reputation for making deals that leave ghosts more hollow than they already are." Lily found it unnerving that ghosts could even experience being hollow. As she watched, the collector pulled out a tattered book, flipping pages with spectral fingers as if consulting an ancient ledger. One by one, ghosts approached him, offering wisps of intangible goods in exchange for what the collector pulled from his unseen inventory. Some left satisfied, others unsettled. At some point, a younger-looking ghost eagerly handed over a swirling memory of a warm family dinner, a memory seemingly precious. In turn, the collector gave the ghost something invisible. The young spirit's face flickered with confusion, then a flash of terror before it drifted away. Lily shuddered, hoping she wouldn't have to interact with him. Then she realized the collector was staring directly at her. His eyes, or the shadows where his eyes should have been, locked on her form. He beckoned her over without a word. Lily's heart felt like it might leap out of her chest. Hesitantly, she approached, acutely aware of the hush among the other ghosts. The collector spoke in a cold, hollow tone. "You are new." When Lily nodded, he continued, "Have you something to trade, mortal?" She swallowed. "I know, I'm just passing through." The collector remained silent for a moment. Then he opened the ledger again, flipping through pages. Lily could make out faint writing, but not enough to read. "Your name, mortal?" Lily frowned. She didn't like the direction this was heading. "I'd rather not say." The collector's lips curved into a semblance of a smile. "We all have intangible goods to spare, even the living. One day, you may wish to part with something you cherish. When that day comes, you will know where to find me." He snapped the book shut with a finality that resonated in the still air. Stepping away, Lily let out a trembling breath. Walter was beside her again, patting her gently on the shoulder. "You did well not to give him your name," he whispered approvingly. "Names hold power down here. Actually, they hold power everywhere, but especially in places where intangible items are traded like currency." Lily nodded, relief washing over her. She recognized that she was in over her head. Yet something about this place hooked her. She felt an undercurrent of fascination, a sense that in witnessing these intangible trades, she was glimpsing something both profoundly strange and deeply human at its core. She continued exploring cautiously, stopping at various stalls that intrigued her. One stall offered slices of lost time, ghostly hourglasses that ran backward. Another displayed impossible dreams, swirling like neon galaxies in tiny orbs. And then there was a traveling minstrel, drifting around with a spectral guitar, offering small tunes in exchange for fleeting recollections, like the smell of a grandmother's baking or the feel of a first kiss. As time slipped by in that pocket of the underground, Lily realized the ghosts were preparing for some kind of event. A hush fell once again, only this time it felt more reverent than fearful. She noticed a circle forming around the middle of the platform, and at the center was a small dais that looked like it was constructed from old subway signage, twisted and reshaped. Ghostly lights began to swirl overhead, forming a luminescent spiral, Walter explained quietly. It's nearly the peak moment of midnight, as measured by our station's clock. That's when the big trades happen, the ones that can reshape afterlives or even mortal destinies. Lily felt drawn to the dais, maneuvering to get a closer look. The collector stood on one side, ledger in hand, and across from him was a spirit Lily hadn't noticed before, a woman wrapped in shadows, her dress rippling like black water. This newcomer radiated a hush of her own, an indigo glow that colored the air around her. Ghosts in the circle began chanting in low, trembling voices, the words too faint for Lily to understand. The swirling lights converged into a single spectral glow, descending as if awaiting an offering. The woman in shadows stepped forth, producing a crystal vessel, empty and shining. She placed it in the center of the dais, then turned to the collector. "I bring longing," she declared softly, her voice echoing. Then she released a swirling tendril of pallid light that danced around the circle, a palpable ache in the air. The collector consulted his ledger, nodding slowly. He reached into nothingness and pulled out a black, writhing shape. "I offer closure," he said. Bending low, he let the shape spill into the vessel. Instantly, the woman's swirling longing snaked downward, entering the crystal and mixing with the collector's offering. The spectres around them shivered. Lily had the uncanny sense that a cosmic transaction was taking place, intangible yet earth-shaking for those involved. As the two powers merged, the woman in shadows gently lifted the crystal vessel, and Lily could see something shifting inside it, a swirling contrast of bitterness and relief. A hush of finality fell over the watchers. The dais darkened. The crowd slowly dispersed, returning to business as usual. Although the general tone had turned subdued, ghostly vendors resumed their quiet calls, and the intangible goods continued moving from spectral hand to spectral hand. Walter guided Lily away from the dais. "We see deals like that from time to time," he explained. "Major trades that shape destinies, ending centuries of grief, forging new paths for wandering souls, sending ripple effects among the living too, though most will never notice." Lily felt a pang in her chest as she considered her own life. She wasn't dead, but her intangible baggage could feel just as weighty as any ghost's. Seeing these spirits trading intangible pieces of themselves awakened a new awareness in her. Could giving up regrets, heartbreaks, or even cherished memories truly lead to peace? Or was it just an illusion, a short-term gain at a deeper personal cost? A nearby clock chimed once. Lily jumped, realizing the hour. She needed to find her way back above ground. She approached Walter, who was assisting a ghost with packaging a jar of almost forgotten laughter. "How do I leave?" she asked. "The path you came from," he assessed, "should still be open, but be mindful, after the final chime at 1 in the morning, living folk often find the tunnel sealed behind them, as if it never existed." Lily felt a spike of panic. "I don't want to end up trapped here." Walter offered a faint grin. "Then you should go now. But a word of caution. The next time you come, it means you've chosen to. The station rarely reveals itself again to those who merely stumbled upon it. If you want to return, there must be something you truly need to trade, or something you truly need to find." She thanked him and made her way to the corridor that would lead her back to the main station. The old steel door was closed. Lily pulled it open, tension building until it finally gave way. She passed through the winding tunnel, climbing the slope until the hum of the active subway lines grew stronger. When she reached the end, she realized the battered gate appeared to be locked from the inside. Her heart hammered. She yanked it once, twice. The gate stubbornly resisted. Then, with a resounding pop, It swung open, releasing a gust of stale air. Stepping out onto the platform, she found it looked entirely normal, just as deserted as before, but with no trace of the ghostly market below. The digital clock read 12:47. EMN. She hurried up the stairs, found a different route, and finally emerged onto the streets. The city night felt jarringly solid. Streetlights glowed orange. Cars sporadically passed. A chilly wind whipped at her coat. She was safe, yet nothing felt quite the same. How could it? She'd just discovered an entire hidden world beneath the regular commute. In the days that followed, Lily found herself haunted by the memory of that midnight market. In her small apartment, she would catch her reflection in the mirror and see a solemn recognition in her own eyes, as if part of her lingered in that station. At work, as she filed reports, she'd imagine intangible goods swirling around her office. A co-worker's anxiety over deadlines turned into a small vial, her own hopes for a promotion forming a luminous orb. Riding the subway, she'd scan every station, searching for any clue of that hidden corridor, but she never saw it. Weeks passed, and Lily pored over city archives looking for any mention of a closed station matching the one she had stumbled upon. There were rumors of an abandoned platform that had ceased operations decades ago due to flooding. Others claimed the tracks were sealed up after a tragic accident. She found no definitive record. Yet the rumors pointed to the very route she'd taken on that fateful night. She felt drawn back. Each night, she'd stay late at the office, intentionally taking the same line at nearly the same time. She'd pass station after station, searching for the battered sign or the payphone she remembered, or even the old janitor. But the corridor never appeared. She began to wonder if she had hallucinated the entire event. Maybe she was just exhausted that night, or maybe the city's pressures had finally taken a toll. Then, one grisly evening, Lily found herself lingering again on the same downtown platform. It was close to midnight. The fluorescent lights were harsh, making everything look washed out. Tired from work, she began pacing, and that's when she glimpsed it. The battered sign, half hidden by a stack of old crates. The corridor behind it faintly illuminated. Her pulse quickened. She approached quietly, heart pounding in her ears, and discovered the gate was slightly ajar. She tried to rationalize why she would ever go back. Danger lurked in that underground, yet a yearning tugged at her, the memory of intangible wonders calling to her. She remembered the feeling of that spectral lullaby the ghostly woman had given her, a gentle comfort that lingered long after the orb dissolved. Lily felt a strange emptiness that she realized was not just curiosity, but a longing to reconcile her own regrets, a caretaker for her intangible burdens. Maybe, just maybe, she could find what she was missing in that place. Without further hesitation, she slipped through the gate and followed the downward tunnel. The same sconce lights flickered overhead, the same stale scent of ancient concrete filling her nostrils. She passed the metal door, swung it open, and found herself once more on that hidden platform. The crowd of spectres was already assembled, drifting from stall to stall. Some recognized her, eyes sparkling with a curious welcome. Others regarded her with indifference. And there, in his pinstripe suit, was Walter. He waved, a look of gentle surprise on his face. "Back so soon?" he asked, though there was a hint of knowing in his voice. Lily stepped onto the dusty tiles, feeling strangely at home. "Don't know what I'm hoping to find," she admitted. "Something's calling me, though." Walter nodded, understanding. "The intangible draws us all, but be careful." She felt the weight of his warning. Even so, she pressed forward, drawn to the lullaby vendor's stall. She wasn't there this time, replaced by another spectre, offering whispers of forgiveness. Lily felt a pang of disappointment. She meandered through the market, aware that the deeper she went, the more the intangible trade beckoned to desires and fears she barely understood. At last, she reached a stall stacked high with jars of swirling color, each labeled with a single emotion or memory: wistful dream, quiet guilt, shattered hope. She stared, entranced until a voice startled her from behind. "Are you selling or buying?" She turned to see the collector standing there, ledger in hand. Her spine went rigid. "Neither," she stammered, immediately on guard. The collector surveyed her with that unreadable expression. "Your eyes betray you. You crave resolution." He opened his ledger, flipping through pages that seemed to sigh with each turn. "Do you wish to trade a regret? Perhaps one that weighs heavily on you?" Lily recalled the ache of leaving everything behind in her old life. Could letting go of that regret open a door for her future in this city? Before she could speak, a gentle hand clasped her shoulder. Walter. His eyes were full of concern. "Don't deal with him," he whispered. "Not unless you're certain. He'll take more than you mean to give." Lily looked from Walter to the collector and then back at the swirling jars of intangible goods. She wanted to be free from her regret, but was that worth what might be lost? The collector's voice was hypnotic. "Once parted, regret no longer binds you. You become unshackled, fully free to embrace what is to come." Lily considered her choices, to walk away and forever wonder if this regret would hold her back, or to gamble, hoping the trade would truly set her free. She opened her mouth, mind swirling with 1,000 worries. She closed her eyes, imagining the life she wanted, a future unburdened, brimming with potential. She inhaled the stale station air, felt it fill her lungs. Then she slowly exhaled, stepping away. "No," she said firmly, refusing the deal. For a moment, silence reigned. The collector's ledger snapped shut with a low thunder, and he melted back into the crowd, disappointment etched in his posture. Walter gave her a relieved nod. A wave of calm conviction washed over Lily. She might still carry her regret. Of a time she might find a way to transform it, learn from it. Parting with it was tempting, but the intangible pieces of her life, the losses and regrets, contributed to who she was becoming. Perhaps that was the lesson she needed to learn all along. She felt a small smile creeping onto her face. The market was still there, a breathtaking tapestry of ghosts, trading ephemeral pieces of existence, and she alive, precarious, hopeful, stood among them, fully aware of her choices. She turned to Walter. "Thank you," she whispered, voice echoing in the heavy air. "I think I've found what I came for." In that moment, Lily realized that although the midnight market offered an array of hopes and closures for sale, one didn't need to sell or trade to find meaning in these intangible wares. Sometimes simply seeing them, understanding them, was enough to bring clarity. With a steady step, she began to make her way back toward the tunnel that would lead her out. The ghosts parted for her, some nodding in approval, others hovering silently, shadows of lifetimes drifting through their translucent forms. Nearby, she spotted the place where she had first entered. The gate stood open, the passage waiting for her return to the living world. Without looking back, Lily stepped through, ascending the old path. She knew that tomorrow, in the realm of the living, she would still carry her regrets. But now they felt different, less like chains, more like stepping stones. The tunnel lights grew brighter as she approached the steel door, and she felt her heartbeat in her ears, alive and fierce. She emerged onto the normal station platform, the real world awaiting her with the usual nighttime quiet. She looked back only once. To her surprise, the corridor and the battered sign had vanished again, replaced by a blank wall. The flickering overhead lights hummed. A single train car, nearly empty, slid into the station tracks. Lily boarded, taking a seat by a window. As the train pulled away, she smiled out into the darkness, cradling a new sense of awe and acceptance deep inside. She couldn't deny what she had seen, and she no longer wanted to. Somewhere beneath the city, spirits engaged in a weekly midnight market, sharing intangible goods that defined and shaped them, and Lily realized she too possessed intangible worth. Her past, her present, the mysteries of her future. That was more than enough to guide her onward.